Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. Let's talk about the latest episode of DC's Titans. It was called Prodigal. It starts off where Raven senses that Dick is in trouble and goes to him to find his deceased body, and she's unable to help him, much to Gar's dismay. A bunch of bats show up for some reason, and in his grief, Gar finds himself turning into a bat. And then he and the bats lift Dick in the air and take him to the Lazarus pit. Meanwhile, Jason tells Crane that Dick is dead, and Crane spouts some crazy crap about everyone needing to die, and Jason says he won't help him destroy the city, at which point Crane goes after him with his scythe that he'd found in the Batcave, and Jason flees. Donna is told of Dick's death by Tim, but doesn't believe it. Crane harasses Barbara in her cell remotely through the camera that's there, and he tells her that Dick is dead. And when he signs off from whatever it was he was saying to her, he says, "Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. Same Crane channel, same Crane time," which of course is a reference to the 60s Batman show, which would say same bat channel, same bat time, about the next episode that was coming at the end of each episode. Anyway. Meanwhile, Dick sees Crane in a vision while in the pit, and Crane tells him that he's lost the battle for his own soul and that his dad would be disappointed in him and that he's responsible for Jason's death, that he wanted him gone, and Dick then indeed attacks Jason in the vision of Joker. He sort of finds himself wearing Joker's clothing and has a crowbar, and there's a vision of Jason there, and he starts whacking him. Meanwhile, Crypto approaches Blackfire, and she follows him to Connor, whom, of course, had been knocked out with kryptonite. She revives him with her fire. They talk about being their own team, and then we cut over to Donna, who we see has stolen a GCPD armored vehicle. Dick stops attacking Jason in the vision, saying he doesn't want this, and he finds himself in a different place entirely in the vision. It's a wooded area where he sees himself and his dad in the past. And his father says, "I am proud of you," and so forth. Then he sees a little girl that calls him daddy. And it seems like this might be a reference to Nightstar, who is a daughter of Dick and Corey's in a future timeline, an alternate timeline in the DC universe. He tells Crane in the vision that he will stop him. And Crane says, "You won't, you had your chance." And then he just punches Crane in the face. And simultaneously finds himself climbing out of the pit back in the real world. Connor and Blackfire visit the guy who had held her prisoner previously, and he takes them to her ship, which he has, and he tries to give it to her, but she declines to accept it. Starfire arrives and says, you need to take it. You need to go back to the planet and be the queen. We see that Dick is coming too, and for some reason is not insane like people normally are when they come out of Lazarus pits in the DC universe. And he tells Raven and Gar to go find Donna, which surprises them because they don't know that she's back. And he also says, Crane can in fact be stopped. Blackfire, meanwhile, decides to take her sister's advice and go back to her planet, which Connor does not want her to do because he can't survive there, so he couldn't go with her, and she'd have to leave him behind. And reluctantly agrees to help turn some earth minerals into a fuel source for her ship. Jason fires a gun off in the city, just like randomly, starts yelling and ranting, like just at the world, and Dick approaches him and asks him to help him end Crane's plan to hit Gotham with bombs and toxins, and he agrees to do it. Connor does in fact make the fuel source, but he alters it, and it sabotages the ship and blows it up when she tries to start it, or when it starts itself up. Then we go back to Donna in the stolen GCPD armored vehicle in which she is traveling with Tim and his folks. They end up getting stopped on the road by the GCPD, and Donna ends up having to rip the back door of the thing off to get them out of a situation where the GCPD discovered who they were and went on the attack. Barbara pretends to be sick and manages to escape her cell by attacking her jailer when he comes in to see what's going on, at which point she goes to access the Oracle room and tries to get Oracle back up and running. Jason and Dick, meanwhile, access the Gotham archives where Penguin's umbrellas, Riddler's cane, and Crane's weapons are all stored. But in place of Crane's weapons, they find a book of poems that Dick had seen in his vision, and it tells him that Crane had already retrieved his weapons. And indeed, we do see in a flash over to the Batcave that Crane, in fact, has retrieved his weapons and plans to carry out his attack on the city. That's where the episode ended. I didn't think much of it. I haven't thought much of most of these episodes. They're kind of moving the ball forward slowly. I don't like that. It's too slow. The great thing about the show is we get to see all these DC characters on screen. We get references to other characters that we've never seen in live action, so it's cool in that way, but it's not really saying that much. It's not really going anywhere, so I don't know. Next week's the finale. I'll be back with a review of that. Until then, my friends, as always, I wish you peace and long life.